All right, I think we are live. Playing some music. Let people jump in here before we get started. What's up, Donnie? If you're in here still, what's going on? Hey, Jaden, what's up? How you doing tonight? Isaac, what's going on? Oh, I'm doing all right. You know, just chilling. Uh, ran into some issues with OBS trying to set this shit up, and I got to do it primitive style with YouTube Studio here. But what's up, Slim? How's it going? Again, happy birthday yesterday. For those of you who don't know, Timmy is my nephew. And I bestowed upon him and my other nieces and nephews my love of horror and my love of Halloween and Jason and all that good stuff. So they are also big fans. And it was actually his birthday yesterday. So is my microphone audio coming through okay for you guys? Little hair right here. Okay, good. Which do I prefer, Jason Takes Manhattan or Jason Goes to Hell? Manhattan all day, every day between those two. I cannot stand Jason Goes to Hell. Nice. I love The Last of Us. I still have to play the second one. I actually got it for Christmas, and I have yet to open it and play it. Yeah, I got it. I got to get on that. It's like I'm almost afraid to. You know, I don't know why. Uh, I've heard mixed reviews about it, but I'll have to just pop it in and give it a shot here one of these days. Todd, what's going on, man? How you doing? How's life back in the OHIO? Time is it? 6:05. I'll give it a few more minutes here. Just let the room hopefully build up just a little bit more. Because as much as I love to actually talk and hear my own voice, I want this to be a discussion about Halloween Kills. If everybody here, for the most part, has seen it, yeah, I just don't want this to be me dictating to a camera for however long, because that gets boring. And plus, I want to be able to actually be able to chat one-on-one with a lot of you guys for the first time. Because this, I believe, is the first time I've done a live stream on this channel. I think I've streamed video games before very early on, but this is the first time doing it with a camera and actually being able to talk to you people. Just living the Cleveland life. Yeah, yeah. Trust me, man, Albuquerque ain't that much better. It's like you can almost transplant one for the other, except in Cleveland, you got a big lake. Here, you just got desert. Uh, but the general attitude is pretty much the same. Oh, you only got it because it's actually free on PlayStation Plus right now. For You're getting a hell of a game for a free game. Let me tell you that. Last of Us, that first one it's one of my favorite games. The storyline to that is simply incredible. I love that game. I couldn't put it down. A parallel move. I mean, yeah, for the most part. It's it's what was it? 1,600 miles just to move sideways. Is this is essentially all it is. All right, we'll get this thing started in about 2 more minutes. Uh, Sadly, I've only seen. Oh, excuse me. Sadly, I've only seen Halloween Kills twice, and the second time I saw it was actually this afternoon in trying to prep for this video because I wanted to kind of refresh myself on it. Halloween Kills is okay. Yeah, yeah. There'll be some things. There'll be some things to discuss. I'm a little more. I'm probably a little more favorable on it than a lot of people have been. Um, I know some guys I follow here on YouTube are. Some of them really love it. There's a lot that just think it's the worst movie ever, and uh, uh, I don't. I definitely don't think it's the worst movie ever. I've had time to let it sit. You know what? Fuck it. Let's just start this thing now. Screw it. We'll start talking about it now since we're getting into it. Halloween 3 is your favorite next franchise? Yeah, I love Halloween 3. Halloween 3 has been one that I remember when I was little, I did not like it simply because it didn't have Michael Myers. But uh, as I've gotten older and I've watched it more, I've learned. It's not like I've learned to appreciate it more, but I've appreciated it more for its originality. Um, yeah, Cody Leach. Yeah. I didn't see his review on it. I saw Lee's uh, with Drum Dums, and he loved it. Um, I didn't see Cody's. You're surprised how much you loved it, Timmy. Yeah, I mean, um, well, let's get right into it. As you know, with my original thoughts on when I posted my reaction coming out of the theater, I I thought it was incredible coming out of the theater, and then I let it sit and marinate for a little bit, and I started thinking of some things, and it definitely it's a movie that has problems, um, but those problems for me didn't stand in the way of enjoying the actual product. Um, it's not the best written movie. Uh, at the same time, you can kind of say that about all the Halloweens after the original. I mean, when you really stop and think about it, how many of the Halloweens were truly great written films outside of the original? And even the original had some problems, not narratively speaking, it's more on technical stuff, but um, because it was such an extremely low budget movie. But Yeah, like what I sort of have that thought of what do you really want or what do you really expect out of a slasher horror movie? You're going there to see you're going there to see Michael Myers kill a bunch of people. If you're going expecting anything else, uh, I don't know what to tell you. And with the title of a movie like Halloween Kills, you know the body count's going to be ratcheted up. Because that was another complaint a lot of people had, was that there was just too much killing. And I could see that point, but we kind of knew that going in. If you were a fan of this and you've kind of followed what the storyline was supposed to be going in, what they were trying to do, you knew the body count was going to be ratcheted up for this movie. So yeah, at the end of the day, it's not Halloween Resurrection, for damn sure. I will toast you this Rockstar drink to that. For fuck yeah, it is not Halloween Resurrection. I mean, my God, at least we didn't have Busta Rhymes karate kicking Michael out of a window in Halloween Kills. You can't have too much killing. No, and I don't. Let me say this, because it was a comment somebody left, I think, on my reaction video, if I remember correctly, about that you can't feed Michael the way that they did in that movie, and I understand that to a degree. I think Michael works best when he is stalking and when he's kind of in the background and then comes out and kills, much like in the original Halloween. That's why that one is still my favorite, and it's my favorite horror movie of all time, and it's going to be really, really difficult to dethrone that for any movie. But I think Michael works the best in that capacity. Same with the original sequel, Halloween 2. Michael works best in that capacity where he is very much a shape, a specter, however you want to put it, that kind of just hovers in the background and then comes out and kills. This Michael was probably the most brutal I have ever seen the character. Like he was Jason Voorhees levels of brutal, and it's even surpassing Rob Zombie's brutality that he had Michael Myers in his remake and then his sequel. This Michael was just ruthless. I mean, I'm still taken aback and just amazed at how just vicious and violent he was in this movie, especially in regards, like I've mentioned before, to some of the kills where he seemed to get like an enjoyment. It's James Jude Courtney played the role so well to where when you see him killing, especially in certain scenes, it's like he's getting a playfulness out of it, or he has some sort of like weird sort of like curiosity, like when he kills the old couple, after he escapes Laurie's house and he kills that old couple, when he's just stabbing the old man over and over and over. Okay, I'm back. Sorry, this internet connection is a joke. Hopefully everything is fine. Hopefully back. But like that's one of my favorite moments in that movie, because the camera pans when it's on the old lady and it pans over and he's just stabbing the husband repeatedly. James Drew Courtney played the role so beautifully because it's like you could see him thinking about the kill, like he stabs him and then he's looking like, huh, wonder what happens if I stab him again. Okay, I wonder what will happen if I stab him again. And there was sort of like this like perverse childlike nature in the kill itself that I, I just loved. Like it sounds morbid and psychotic, but I mean we're horror movie fans here. Come on, we're Michael Myers fans. But I love that moment because it brought out a personality in Myers that we haven't really seen ever. Not even Nick Castle in the original. So I loved that moment. Let me read some of your comments here. Where were you at? Where did I leave off? They said in 2018 that this Michael would be realistic. Guess they forgot. Did they really say that though? I mean, I could maybe I'm misremembering. I believe in 2018, the issue that I know a lot of people had with Michael, or the way the story was written with certain characters, is that certain characters perceived him to be. Oh, excuse me, I'm like belching and shit. Certain characters perceived him to be nothing more than a man, and that's where they got in trouble. Like the podcasters at the very beginning of the movie, they didn't take this. They didn't take the situation, or they didn't take him seriously enough. They just assumed he was a person, a regular flesh and blood man who could be shot and killed. And they didn't take Laurie seriously. They didn't take Michael seriously, and they paid the price for it. And you see a lot of that echoed in this one too, where I don't think the townspeople took the threat as seriously as they should, or they underestimated just what they were up against. That doesn't fit Michael. What's worse, Buster Rhymes or Sherry Moon Zombie? You know what? I'll say Busta Rhymes only because in Zombie's first Halloween movie, I thought Sherry Moon was excellent as Michael's mom. I thought she was fantastic. Fantastic as Michael's mom. In the sequel, yeah, we won't talk about that. I guess trying to burn him just passes him off. Do you mean pisses him off? I'm assuming you mean pisses him off. Yeah, and that's how I kind of took his rage in this movie. Was like he, after being trapped in the basement at the end of the 2018 one, and then escaping here, he's just like, fuck all of you. I am just, all of you are going down. Like, that's how I kind of took his attitude in this movie. Chillette Kevs, Michael felt so much more elevated as a threat in this movie. He wasn't just some guy anymore. It was like staring at a demon. I completely agree. Laurie has that line about him. Each time he kills, like he transcends more, and I agree. There's certain shots in this movie, especially towards the end, where it is very much like Michael has just become a full-on force of nature, as you said. Like he has completely transcended being a flesh and blood human being to something like ethereal. Like that's how I kind of feel. Kick Flash, the old couple kill in Halloween Kills was the most brutal Michael scene ever. What makes it better is the Carpenter score. Oh, completely agree. The Carpenter score in this movie is awesome. And at first, I will say I kind of liked the 2018 score a little bit more. However, I think as time goes on and I listen to this score more, I love this score. And don't get me wrong, the 2018 score, it might be my favorite in the franchise, even more than the original. And I love the original. I love the score for Halloween 2 that Alan Howarth did. Even Halloween 3. I mean, you can see the vinyls I got back there. I kind of just put them up for this video. But this score is just, it's awesome. I love it. Let's see, Donnie, something about the way he turned in that scene, back from the body with a knife rack, was really effective for me. Yeah, I agree. It's a lot. And I think a lot of that goes to James Jude Courtney as an actor too, because he brought such a personality to Myers in this that I hadn't seen in any of the other movies. Because most of the movies, they just kind of get a stuntman to just put on a jumpsuit and a mask, and much like Jason Voorhees, and just say, go kill people. And I think it's a big credit to him that he injected a lot more personality in his physical performance, and I loved it. You could say in the Rob Zombie ones, Tyler Mane did a lot of that too. But yeah, I thought James Jude was great. He's learning now, like Raptors opening a door. I mean, yeah, he's having, the thing with Michael is there's like this trickster prankster side to him, and I think that's something that 2018 and Halloween Kills have brought back, that they kind of they didn't do that in the other sequels. They kind of just had Michael show up and kill, where in the original, I mean, for fuck's sake, he dressed up as a ghost and strangled a woman. So I like that they're playing with that Michael has sort of this like perverse sense of humor with his violence. And Donnie, thank you for the $5 super chat. Let's see what he says. This is just a thank you for all the content, man. Retrogrades are dope as hell. Keep it up, brother. Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate that. I wish I can get those out quicker than I do, but with my work and other stuff going on, sometimes life gets in the way. So I try my best to get those out as quickly as I can. And I'm glad you enjoy it. And thank you once again for the $5. You didn't need to donate anything, but thank you. I appreciate that. All right, Jaden, catch you soon. But let me take a swig here. Kick Flash. Allison boyfriend Cameron got messed up. Probably your favorite kill in the movie. Yeah, he definitely got fucked up. I will bring that up. I have a list here that I'm going to go over. I got a little cheat sheet. It's on my phone here. When I was watching Halloween Kills again today, in kind of preparation for this, I wanted to go through and highlight some pros and cons. And I separated the list. So I'll go through what I liked about the movie first, and I'll go through kind of some things I didn't like about the movie. Some things might be nitpicky, but I mean, you know how I roll. Sometimes I nitpick. So, Donnie, no rush, man. It's always a great treat when they pop up. You're welcome. Donnie, okay. Donnie, what did you think about Little John standing up and saying, Michael, you've come home? It really didn't work for you, honestly. Yeah, that was, I remember when I saw it in the theater and that happened, I was like, what the hell's going on? Like, when he said it, I kind of thought, did he have something to do with this? Like, as stupid as that sounds, I don't know. That's the first thought that popped into my head, was like, did he plan for this to happen? Did he know something was going to happen? But then Michael just turns around and kills him. So yeah, when I say like this movie isn't the best written, it's moments like that kind of it make me scratch my head. I think uh and it's a thing, like I can't even say the movie was rushed, because the movie had the first one was 2018. Um so and this one was supposed to be out last year, but due to COVID it came out this year. So they had a year and a half to write this thing. I don't think it was really rushed. Uh I don't know. I don't necessarily blame David Gordon Green for that. I'm not familiar with who wrote this one, if he had a hand in it too. If he did, then he is to blame. But I think if Danny McBride was back on it from 2018. Yeah, there's just certain writing shit in this movie where it's questionable. It's really questionable. Uh, yeah, exactly. Like they have a history or something. Like they obviously knew the stories and they knew Michael. So yeah, it's like yeah, it was just a weird scene. Uh, but anyway, let's see, Gillette Kebs. I remember them mentioning that Big John and Little John were realtors who may have been selling the house, so they're familiar with the Myers history. Yeah. Timmy, what did you think about Tommy in this movie? I go back and forth. When I first saw the movie, I thought Tommy was okay. I wasn't that impressed. The second time through, maybe because I knew what to expect, I liked him a little bit more. He has some weird dialogue moments. Like, I'm not a big fan of his speech at the bar. I think it's a little too much. Um, I think it's a little too heavy-handed with the sort of survivors band, band of survivors between him and Lindsay and Nurse Chambers and Lori, who I guess I don't know if she hangs out with them or not, but they don't establish that. Um, yeah, I don't know. I liked them better. Like I said, I liked them better the second time. The first time through, not so much. Um, but yeah. All right, I'm gonna go through. I'm gonna start my pros list here. Here are some things that I really liked about the movie. Uh, phone keeps. All right. First things first. The very start of the movie. Uh, and not talking about the scene where we see Hawkins and Cameron, where Cameron finds Hawkins laying there, but the 78 flashback. All the 78 flashback stuff, I fucking loved in this movie. I thought they handled all that stuff well. It had the look and it had the feel of 78 Halloween. Um, as much as they could. Could it have been better? Could they have done more to really capture the look of those movies? Of course. But for the sake of this one, I love the fact that they really differentiated between modern day and then when they went back to 78, they gave it that 78 look, especially, not just aesthetically with cars and all clothing and all that sort of shit, but with the lighting and the mood and even the music. The music echoed back to 78, and I absolutely loved it. They got the mask almost spot on. I mean, and there's little differences. Really hardcore, crazy Halloween fans like myself and us here, we can see little differences with the way Michael looks between the original and this one. But they got it about damn near as good as I've ever seen anybody get that original mask, which always makes me wonder how the hell do they screw it up so many times in the sequels? Like, why does the mask just keep getting worse? It's not that hard. So I loved the look of Myers in the beginning of this movie with the 78 flashback. And the stuff where Hawkins and his detective or his police buddy go to the house, I really liked that too. And I usually don't get caught off guard in horror movies, especially slasher movies, but I will admit, even though I knew it was coming, I freaking knew it was coming. When Michael jumps out, when the one officer is staring out the window and just talking, and then he gets cut off because Michael's coming from, the closet or the next room over or whatever it was. I knew that was going to come. I just knew, but it still caught me off guard and still got me just to jump just a little bit. And I was like, oh shit. I'm like, okay, that escalated quickly. But yeah, I love everything about that opening. And the thing that capped it off for me in that opening, Loomis. Holy shit. The makeup job that they did on that man is incredible. When I first saw it in the theater, I thought it was CGI. I'm like, there's no way that's a lookalike or makeup. I'm like, that has to be CGI because it was spot on. And to find out later on that that's actually not CGI, that they just found somebody that looked close enough. And if you see photos of the guy, I can't remember his name, the guy who played Loomis, even without makeup, he looks incredibly like Donald Pleasance. It's scary. And they added just the little prosthetic makeup here, did something with the hair, the beard, and everything. And holy shit. Like, that was my reaction in the theater when I saw it. When they showed Pleasance, I literally audibly loud went, holy shit. And my fiance sitting next to me just laughed at my sort of like nerding out. But yeah, that whole intro to this movie I thought was excellent. Was just excellent. Kick Flash. I think the mask in the flashback was a clean version of the 2018 mask. I think they took the 2018 mask. It could have been. That could have been I now know what you're saying. Yeah. That could have been like the base of the 2018 mask. And then they just kind of degraded it and eroded it and stuff from there to get the look of that mask for the 2018 movie. And then obviously they went further with it in this one, which is another thing I loved about this movie was the look of Michael. But no, I think you're right. That could have been just a very, very base model of it, but it looked fucking great. I loved it. I don't think that wants to be reminded of CGI ever since people found out about the CGI mask from H2O. Oh boy. Well, people didn't need to find out about that one. It's not like it was like some obscure thing. I mean, you know it when you see it. Like when I went to the theater to see that movie, that was my first ever Halloween movie in a theater. Yeah, yay me. And if you see my ranking, you could see just how much I love that one. But when that scene came up, as bad as the other masks were in that movie, there is one, I will say this, there is one good mask in that movie. And it's very brief in the beginning because it's it's based off the Halloween 6 mask or the Halloween Curse of Michael Myers mask. And you barely see it. That mask, that should have been the mask for the whole movie. Why they didn't use it, I don't know. Thanks, Steve Miner, and your warped sense of what a Michael Myers mask looks like. But like it just it just baffles me when or why they used CGI in that scene. Like, I get if you can't reshoot something uh, because you're in a time crunch, then just omit it out of the movie altogether, or find a way to reshoot it to where you don't see the mask. Like I've talked about this with friends. They could have done an over the shoulder shot from behind, uh, to where the kid's walking away from the sink and he turns around, backs into Myers, and all of a sudden, oh boy, I didn't. Who are you? And it could have just been a straight over the shoulder shot. They didn't need to actually show the mask. So to go through all that effort to waste money, and think about this, somebody had to sit there and slave in front of a computer and make that piece of shit. Like, what was the point of it? It completely takes you out of the movie, and it's laughably bad. So yeah, I'm very glad that CGI ain't a thing, uh, and it is not really prevalent a lot in Halloween movies since then. And I think they also, not to get into a tangent about H2O here, talking about Halloween Kills, I think they also CGI'd a knife blade in there too. I think it's in the beginning of that movie where he goes to stab Nurse Chambers. Watch that movie again and watch that scene. It's when they're struggling. He comes down with the knife, and I shit you not, it's a CGI knife blade too. Like, I don't. Why? What's the point? What's the point in doing all that? Like, just, I don't know. It's stupid. It's just chalk it up to the shit in H2O that I don't like. I know a lot of people like that movie. I'm not going to sit here and completely slag off on it. For those of you that do like it, but yeah, it's nitpicky, I know, but when you're in my position and you grew up with the originals, and then I loved part 6 when it came out, when I saw it, to get something like H2O right on the heels of part 6, yeah, no thank you. And it bothers me to this day. I still can't watch that movie on its own merits. It's forever tainted for me. So let's see let's read some comments here. Michael was cute in H2O. Yeah, I I don't know if you want your killer to be cute. The H2O mask was too tight. It cut off the actor's air supply. Yeah, it just does. It's not a good mask. If people like the mask, more power to you. I'm not going to sit here and say that you're wrong, but it's just not a Michael Myers mask to me. It just doesn't look like Michael. Like I said in my video, it looks like Clay Aiken. It looks like they just it's just for me, it's a terrible, terrible mask. Absolutely terrible. And even if they had something that looked like the original mask in there, maybe it helps my opinion on Chris Duran as the shape a little bit more, but not really, because there's other things wrong with him, with his performance for me, than just the mask itself. Going back to my cheat sheet here, going back to Halloween Kills with some of my pros. I already talked about the score. John Carpenter's score is just incredible. I mean, it's John Carpenter. What do you expect? The man just knocks it out of the park with almost every score he does, and I can't wait to see what he delivers with Ends. Because 2018 has been phenomenal. The score for Halloween Kills is phenomenal. So I'm looking forward to what he does with Halloween Ends. Loomis opening. The opening credits I loved. I liked all the different jack-o'-lanterns. I will say this: did anybody catch the main jack-o'-lantern that it zooms in on, and with the fire and it's melting and everything? I can't be the only one that noticed that it kind of looked like the Halloween 2 jack-o'-lantern. Maybe I am the only one that thinks that, but it really looks like the jack-o'-lantern from the opening of Halloween 2, the one that opens up and has the skull. It's not an exact replica, but it looks close enough. And I think that's a little wink and a nod, in my opinion, from the filmmakers to Halloween 2. And we've seen, even in the movie, some clips back to Halloween 2, recycled and reused for the purposes of this movie. For better or for worse. Especially, it's weird considering that movie is not canon, but they're flashing back to scenes from it to use for this. So that's another little weird thing. Duran's walk and posture was brutal. Agreed. His stance and his walk just doesn't exude a intimidation factor. Yeah. I don't like it. To be honest, I liked H2O less when I watched it. Let me read that again. I'm reading this wrong. To be honest, I like H2O less when I watch it, in my opinion. Yeah, it can have that effect. There's a lot of movies like that. Like, each time I watch certain movies, I kind of find little things to nitpick or to pick apart, and I end up liking the movie less. Like, at the end of the day, let me put it this way. At the end of the day, I will watch H2O and even Resurrection over a lot of shit because I am a Halloween fan through and through. Same thing with Jason. There's times where, just for fucking shiggles, I'll throw on Jason Goes to Hell and Jason X. Same thing with Halloween H2O and Halloween Resurrection or Freddy's Dead. And then I'm quickly reminded as to why I don't like those movies. But there are worse movies out there to watch. So at the end of the day, I'm a fan. I could watch it all. But yeah, there's just certain ones that I prefer over the others. To go back and check out the jack-o'-lantern, it didn't catch that. Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you got Peacock, just throw it on right now and just skip to the credits and look at it. Like, yeah, it's pretty good, or pretty good. I think you'll notice a similarity there. Like I said, it's not spot on. It's not completely 100% spot on, but it's pretty fucking close, in my opinion, anyway. H2O Michael equals Freddy versus Jason. Yeah. For me, yeah. Because my feelings on my feelings on Freddy versus Jason. I hate almost everything about him. Which, again, that's my opinion. I've gotten into it with somebody on my channel about it because he didn't like my opinion. But it is what it is. I'm not gonna. If I don't like something, I just don't like it. I'm not going to pretend I like it just to make somebody happy. I've never have liked that version of Jason. It just doesn't feel like Jason to me. It's not the Jason I grew up with. If people have liked that version of Jason, again, that's great. I'm happy you like him. I don't. My Jason is from part 2 through part 8. That's my Jason. Those are the Jasons I gravitate to. It's more so than the other ones. I liked Derek Mears. The movie itself is what it is, but I thought he did pretty good. I would like to see him in something better. But yeah, Freddy versus Jason, no. You will never put on Jason Goes to Hell ever again. Believe me, it's probably the one, shockingly, even though on my ranking I put Jason X and Jason Goes to Hell both at the very bottom together. Jason Goes to Hell probably gets less playtime than Jason X does. And and that's it's not saying one is better than the other. It's just something about Jason Goes to Hell and just the like I said, the lack of him in that movie that it's not Friday the 13th to me. It's not Jason. It's something else. It's a different movie that on its own would have been great. It would have been great as its own thing, almost like Halloween 3 in a way, except I think Jason Goes to Hell is more of a slap in the face to fans because it has Jason in it and tries to do something completely fucking different. So yeah, it's just shit. So okay, moving past the opening credits that I like from Halloween Kills, the Firefighter Massacre, when Michael comes out of that house, is awesome. Loved it. It's brutal as fuck. I did kind of laugh when he's coming out and the one firefighter is just holding the hose and spraying him. And my fiance, when we saw the movie, she's like, what the fuck is that going to do? Like, why doesn't he move? He's just sitting there with the hose spraying him and he doesn't move anywhere. But if you think about it, like those fire hoses, that's a lot of water pressure coming out. That could knock somebody down, especially at that close range. I mean, we've seen videos in with people in riots where they've turned hoses on people, and it knocks them down. It's a lot of water pressure. So for Michael to just be walking through that like it's fucking nothing, that to me shows just how much of a evil force he is, that he could just walk through it, like I said, like it's nothing. Like, yeah. But I love the scene. I loved just the brutality of Michael in that scene and in that moment of just, coming out, sticking the one firefighter right through the mask, and then, getting the other ones. And then he turns the saw on the one and just slices them. It is fucking gory fun. I loved it. I thought it was great. I thought it was a great reintroduction to Michael, present day Michael in this movie. I also love the way that he hid, because people, if you remember, I'm sure a lot of you, and especially me, at the end of 2018, were like, how the hell is he going to survive this fire? Where is he going to go? Like, everything is burning around him. There were a lot of people speculating that there was a back door sort of hidden in one of the scenes that you can see. And maybe that's how he would get out. Like, no, he just hid. He hid in the one place that could not be burned. And that was in Lori's gun closet, her little gun cabinet thing that had the pull down metal shutter doors. Like, I thought that was brilliant. And I loved that moment in the movie where the firefighter's just laying there. Then all of a sudden you see that door open up and there's Michael. It's like, oh shit. Like, people are about to get fucked up. Let's see. I'll read some more comments here. Jason Goes to Hell is insulting. They literally spell the Voorhees name wrong. Yes, they did. And the director thinks it's the best movie and that he's the best fan. Don't we all? If I was doing a movie, I'd probably feel the same way, that I'm the best director directing it and I'm the biggest fan. And there would be people just like you and me sitting there telling me that I'm full of shit and I don't know what I'm talking about. So he has a right to his opinion. He has a right to his fandom. I don't blame him for trying something new with Jason Goes to Hell. I will say this: him trying to vehemently defend the fact that he believes Jason is a Deadite from Evil Dead, that's what's insulting to me. Because as an Evil Dead fan, anybody that's an Evil Dead fan knows Jason is not a Deadite. No fucking way. No. He is not a Deadite. End of discussion. Jaden loved the firefighter scene. Donnie, wish the firefighter scene was just a bit longer. Also wish that it was not in the trailer because it was a dope sequence. I agree. I kind of wish they didn't show any of the kills in that. I don't mind them showing him coming out of the house, because we already know in the trailer he's coming out of the house. There's going to be firefighters there. He's going to fuck them up. Otherwise, there's not going to be a movie. They would just beat him to death, and the movie's 20 minutes long. So we already know he's going to fuck some people up coming out of that fire. So yeah, but I mean that's typical with trailers nowadays. They show, I think, too much in movies, especially high profile movies like this. And I'm also a big to go off of horror. I'm also a big James Bond fan, and I love like stuff like Ghostbusters because that's my next big one that's coming out that I want to see. Trailers, I get that they have to sell the movie, but with something that's so high profile that a lot of attention is being placed onto, you don't need to show a lot of the shit that they show. They can create a simple trailer um, that barely shows anything and tease people. I think that's the most important thing with trailers is you want to tease somebody, you want to entice them to come see your movie. You don't want to give it away. Oftentimes, in hindsight, you watch a trailer to a movie and you see what they put together. All these clips out of context is one thing, but then when you go back and you look, you're like, holy shit, they gave away the majority of the movie. They did it with 2018. They gave away a couple of the scare sequences right away. You watch the movie and it's there. So, I there's times where I wish they would intentionally fake out in a trailer. Use a different scene, use a different shot, use a different take, a different angle, something to make it different if they're going to go this route. But in my opinion, they should just keep it at teaser trailers, tease the audience, don't give them a lot of clips from the movie, and then that's it. And maybe just keep it to one trailer, because that's another problem that this movie had. It felt like, I know I'm exaggerating here, but it felt like there was at least like 6 different trailers, about like 10 different TV spots. Just keep it one trailer, 1 or 2 TV spots that are like 15 seconds long, and then that's it. That's all you need. The movie sells itself. The name at this point sells itself. Timmy, him walking out of the burning house was so cool. Yeah, dude, that moment is so fucking epic. Like, when I was watching it again today before doing this, it gave me goosebumps again watching it for sure. I think both trailers showed a lot. They did. They absolutely did. And for both movies, 2018 and this one, they did for sure. All right. So I already talked about a little bit of the other thing I liked with the killing of the older couple right after the firefighter scene. Um, I think the thing that I like to, not only about the kill itself, but that I love about the scene, uh, is when the guy goes to check when the old lady's flying that little drone, which I don't know, for me seemed weird. They're supposed to be an older couple, and she's playing around with the drone. I mean, I guess that just goes to show you the day and age we live in, where older folks get a kick out of flying little drones around. It seemed a little, that's not a nitpicky thing where I'm like, I hate that. It just seemed a little weird because I'm not used to seeing older people with technology like that. But when her husband goes and checks the bathroom, and Michael's in there, and busts out the light, and the guy's like, holy fuck, that that moment. And when he comes back and tells his wife, like, what was the word or the line, like, there's some big motherfucker in there with a monster mask, and the wife is like, well, what does he want? And he's like, who gives a shit what he wants? That part made me laugh so much, especially in the theater. And I love the humor like that in this movie. There's some humor that doesn't work. And there's some humor that I think undercuts the tension in these newer Halloween movies, because that is a problem I have with David Gordon Green and his direction, especially when it comes to the humor. I don't think I think in certain scenes it works. I think in other scenes he doesn't execute it quite well. Whether it's meant to be funny intentionally or not. it can be an issue. But here, I think the humor just comes out of the context of the scene itself and what is playing out. Because I mean, I would react probably that way too if that happened to somebody asked me, "What the hell is he doing?" I'd be like, "Who gives a fuck what the hell it is?" The only thing that I will say is that in that moment, when the husband gets his head crushed against the door, perhaps the wife should have just ran out of the house. Um, it's it's a thing that to me is a little nitpicky detail, because I think we as audience members view shit like this and say to ourselves, how can anybody act so stupid? I would never act that stupid in that situation. And a lot of us probably wouldn't. But people do stupid things at stupid times when they're panicked. And some people can handle that and they can kind of overcome it. There's a lot of people that just buckle and collapse and they just turn into a pile of goo. Like, you know what I mean? Like they just they can't handle it, and they end up, ultimately in these kind of movies, ultimately paying the price. So I always try to cut moments like that a little bit of slack in these slasher movies, especially in horror movies, because you can't have not everybody on this planet is um knows how to handle those situations well, or else we would never have these situations. And quite frankly, you would never have a movie. So you got to kind of suspend a little bit of a disbelief factor in a way to allow the story to just tell itself. So, because I know that was a lot of issues that people had, that when I was uh, reading some reviews online about this and reading some tweets, is like people saying that people do a lot of stupid things in this movie that people in real life would not do. Well, you know, yes and no. I see stupid shit happen all the time in my profession. So it is what it is. I think sometimes people just have a little bit more of an inflated opinion about how they handle crisis situations. Like I said, some people handle it well, some people don't. And the people that don't handle it well, you kind of see what happens. Um, Kick Flash. And what makes it more funny is when she was flying the drone and when it goes into the bathroom and Michael throws the drone back at it. I feel like that drone hit him. Yeah, probably did. And he was like just grabbed it, like, fuck this thing. He just threw it back at her. Moving on. I like the development of Karen and Allison in this. More so Allison. I think Karen kind of regressed back. I would have thought at the end of uh, the last movie, she maybe would have been a lot more like Allison. But I think character wise, not saying performance wise or anything, and not saying that her regression was a bad thing, because I think it's set up for that to happen in the last movie, because we've seen how she spent the majority of her adult life trying to shut out what her mom has been teaching her. And I think you see a lot of that come back in this, to where she thinks Michael's gone and she's kind of trying to move past it. And um, then at the end, when shit goes down, you see her again trying to move past it, because she thinks it's like she doesn't want to acknowledge the fact that Michael is more than what he is. And she lets her guard down. Ultimately, she pays the price. Allison, on the other hand, uh, if they say the traits skip a generation, well, she, I think, is a lot more like Lori. She's inheriting a lot more of Lori than Karen did. And they showed that Allison is a lot more receptive and open to uh, actually fighting back against Michael, whereas Karen seemed to kind of just wanted to retreat back and play it safe, because the scene in the hospital where she's like, no, you got to stay here, you can't go out and face him, uh, because he's going to come here and we need everybody here. Whereas Allison was a lot more proactive and like, no, I want to go take the fight to him, I want to hunt this mother effer down because he killed my father. So I like that little bit of a dichotomy, I think is the right word. uh, so I appreciated that. I thought that was handled. I thought it was handled well. Not the best, but well enough for a slasher Halloween movie. I loved the attack on Lindsay and Nurse Chambers and the doctor, or the black couple, the ones that were the nurse and the doctor in the park. I loved that scene. Nurse Chambers is a little bit of a spazzy idiot in that moment, because she's just, the first shot to the window I can understand because Michael's hand's right there, so she's trying to shoot him. But then there's another time she shoots out the window, and maybe I have to watch the movie again, because it didn't even look like he was standing there. It's like she just turned and shot the window. Yeah, a little bit stupid on her part to be shooting out windows when she knows fucking Michael Myers is right on the roof of the vehicle. He could, busted window, could just reach right in. And he doesn't even need the window to be there. He could just bust right in anyway. But yeah, I thought that was a little, like, I'll give people that one with people doing stupid things at stupid moments. But what can you say? Go the other way too. She's panicked. So, but I love that scene. I love when Michael eventually gets in, kills her, and the guy's in the back seat, and he's trying to strangle Michael, and the music timed perfectly with how Michael turns his head around to look at him and then just stabs him right in the eye. Oh my goodness. That was brutal. And equally as brutal and savage is when dude's wife comes up trying to shoot him, and Michael just, kicks the door and knocks the gun backwards, and she shoots herself right in the head. Like, that was so, it was gross and funny and awesome at the same time, if a little unbelievable. I shouldn't even say unbelievable, but I think you know what I'm getting at. It's a little bit, it's a little silly, but the silliness in that scene I think works. I fucking love that scene. And then when he's chasing Lindsay down into like the little riverbank there, uh, everything about like that moment, from the acting performances to the lighting in that moment. And that's the other thing. Let me say this right now, right quick, is I think David Gordon Green, in terms of the cinematography, I don't know if it's the same cinematographer or not on this one. I would assume it is. So much better than 2018. There's still moments where you get a lot of that 2018 kind of amberish light, but he really upped his game in terms of the style and the look of this one. Now, there's moments where his direction is not the best. We'll get to that towards the end. But I think in this particular scene, and there's other ones, but this one was the standout scene for me, that the lighting was just gorgeous. It was gorgeous. Michael in that blue with the the shadows of the trees on him, and you get that. There's a shot where Lindsay is kind of down, hiding behind the tree, and you're getting the reflection of the water up, and it's just reflecting all over Michael in that. Oh, it's such a beautiful scene. And for me, I'm more, as a director and a filmmaker, when I was doing my little bits here and there, I'm more of a visually oriented guy. So those moments are what really stand out to me, and I absolutely loved that scene. The way it looked. Oh, hey, Sassy Pants. Thank you for the super chat there, the donation. Once again, you guys don't have to donate anything. I appreciate it. Yeah, that you know, I'm humbled that you guys would uh, uh, give me anything. I don't ask for it, but thank you. Sassy Pants says people need to remember it's a horror movie. Just have fun with it. There's no need for fans to attack each other for their likes, dislikes. I completely agree. But sadly, that's the state of society, especially the state of social media, where people just people have their beliefs, people have their opinions, and not just horror movies, but everything. And I've always been of the mind, live and let live. Um, you know, just because you like something that I don't like, it's not going to affect me. Um, so I don't care. Sometimes I think it's fun to have those open discussions with people about, well, why do you like something? Uh, maybe, you know, maybe they can change my mind on a movie or on a scene that I'd be like, oh yeah, well, I never thought of it that way before, and it's nice to have those differing opinions when it's respectful. What I don't like is when it becomes personal and when people need to feel like they need to bring down somebody else because they like or dislike something. It's always been my opinion, and I try the best I can on my channel, even to keep that same mentality that um, there's people that show up that don't like uh, even my rankings or my opinions on certain videos or movies, and you know that's their belief, that's their opinion, and I completely respect it. The minute it becomes personal, that crosses a line for me, and then that's when it's done. But I completely agree that it's a movie, it's entertainment, it's not life and death. If you don't enjoy it, just move on. Let people enjoy it. There's no sense in just sitting there and just kind of stewing in your own negativity just to bring others in with you because you're pissed off about something. Just don't engage and move on. I mean, I think if a lot more people did that with a lot of things, we'd be better off as fans and as a society for it. 100% constructive conversation is great. No need to be nasty or rude. Completely agree. And I mean, we all slip from time to time. I try to do my best with it. Um, so that's why I always welcome people on my channel that don't necessarily agree with the way I view things, because I like engaging in that conversation as long as it's respectful. When it's not respectful, no, I'm done. I check out. Um, moving on with my pros. I love the moments between Laurie and Hawkins. Especially, I mean, their only moments are in the hospital room together, but because we saw in 2018 that they had some sort of familiarity with one another, and I'm glad they kind of expanded on it here. And I like the little bit of a relationship, romantic, sort of weirdly romantic thing that they're setting up between the two of them. And I'm curious to see where that goes in the next one and how that ultimately resolves itself. If either of them die, if both of them die, if both of them live, we'll see. But no, I like their moments together in this movie. The other thing that I liked about Halloween Kills is I appreciated, even though I've said it's not the best, most well written movie, even in its own franchise, it's not the best. But I appreciate the subtext that they tried to weave into this one. The subtext of mob mentality, of uh, the easily spread of misinformation, how that can sort of poison uh, large groups of people, how that can poison a town, and how that can have such an adverse effect to just getting things done. Because we saw like how much trouble the police were having because this sort of this mob mentality just overtook everybody in this town. No thanks to Tommy, but yeah, I liked that subtext. You know, could it be a little too heavy-handed politically, considering what has happened in this country within the past year? It's possible, but this movie was supposed to be out even before anything really got out of hand in this country. So, because I heard a lot of people talking about that it's I don't want to get into political discussions here on this channel. We get enough of that shit everywhere else. But I've seen people say that it's sort of like the January 6th thing and stuff like that. Like, okay, but this movie was written and finished before all that happened. So I think I think it speaks to just human nature in general. I don't think it's trying to point out or I don't want to say satirize, but I think you guys know what I mean. I don't think they're trying to draw from any one thing recently. I think they're just speaking on human beings in general throughout history that we've seen. Mob mentality like that usually doesn't end well, and we saw what happened. We saw the consequences of that in this movie with the other escaped asylum guy that ends up committing suicide. It's probably in a movie like this. I thought I didn't expect something that deep and that heartbreaking. I really, really felt bad for that man, and uh, it's just a shame. It's truly a gut punch moment in that movie for me. But yeah, the only thing I'll add on to that too, have a little bit of a con in there too with this prose. But in the one negative I will say in that scene is um, I don't think they needed to show the aftermath of the guy hitting the ground. I think whatever emotional impact they were going for served its purpose. It hit home. Adding that little bit of extra uh, grossness is just gratuitous, and it wasn't necessary. I think I think that something like that undercuts the emotional impact of that scene. It just seems very, even for the sake of the narrative of a fictional movie, it seems exploitive to a degree for me. But it is what it is. Moving on. Love the final act back at Michael's house. That final scene with Cameron, with Allison, uh, Lonnie to a degree, even though he doesn't do much. Love that scene. Love it all. I think it's great. Um, Especially the way how savagely Michael just annihilates Cameron. Uh, Kind of echoes back to the first, the 2018 movie when he kills the podcasters. I loved it. And that's another scene where, how I was talking about before, where Michael seems to kind of play around with his victims. And in that moment, I love when Cameron, is kind of laying there. His head is out of the little uh, banister thing. And Allison's screaming for Michael to stop, leave him alone. And Michael just kind of walks down, turns and looks at Cameron. And it's like you could see the wheels turning in Michael's head, like, oh, this person has some sort of feeling for this guy. I'll just, reach over here. Done. So it's like I said, it's like he enjoys fucking with his victims even before he kills them. And it's that sort of like sick sense of humor that I think he has. And the last pro that I have on here is I love the trap set by Allison, or not by Allison. I misspelled that on here. I love the trap set by Karen and Tommy on Michael at the end. I thought it was a very like, oh, holy shit moment. And when they're beating the shit out of Michael, it was definitely a really cool moment. And I loved the end when Karen goes back to the Myers house and is looking out the window, and she sees Michael appear right behind her, and then he kills her. Effective. And that caught me off guard when I saw the movie, because I wasn't expecting that to happen. I didn't expect Karen to die. If any of the Strode women that I expected to die in this one, I thought it was going to be Lori. I thought for sure Lori was going to be killed in this one to set up the next one where Karen and Allison would have to face Michael on their own without the help of their mom. Like, no, they went the other way. Karen is the one that bites it. And like I alluded to earlier, I think it's set up perfectly in that way because she has spent the better part of her life rejecting and trying to flush out the teachings of her mom. So when it comes time where she should be more prepared and she should have finished off Michael when she has the chance, she doesn't. And she lets her guard down. And we saw what happens. She pays the price at the end. So, but yeah, those, I'll tack on some other things here really quick. I love the look of Michael in this movie. Probably right now, my favorite look I've ever had of him. And it's difficult because throughout the whole series, Michael has really only had one look. It's the mask, the mechanic suit. There's variations of that. I actually never minded Hobo Myers from Rob Zombie's sequel. I thought it was different. I thought for what he was trying to tell, I actually liked that look. But I love the look of Myers in this movie. The half-burned mask. Just love it. I got to get my hands on a version of that mask. It is awesome. Mega Man. Do you think there'll be a face reveal in Ends? Ooh. They keep teasing with it, don't they? It's like, in the 2018 one, you get you get a side shot. And in certain scenes, you can see a little bit. And same thing in this one. I think they tease it a little bit more. You can see a little bit more in this one than you did before. I think they will, but part of me doesn't. I shouldn't say part of me. The majority of me does not want it to happen, because Michael is effective when you don't see him. But, you see his face in the original. So if that's the standard of which I hold every Halloween movie to, is the first one, especially when it comes to Myers himself. If that's the standard and they showed his face in that briefly, maybe we get something like that here, where you see it briefly. I would be okay with it if it's done right. If they show too much for too long, or they do like what Rob Zombie did, where you see way too much in certain scenes for too long and you have him speak, no. And I was even one when that Rob Zombie Halloween 2 came out. I actually defended the idea of Michael speaking, even the one line where he just says die and stabs Loomis. But no, keep if it were me doing it, you keep Michael masked and you keep him silent. That's it. And yeah, they keep teasing it. Yeah, they do. For sure that they do. Oh shit. Splash some up on myself here. All right. Now, like I said before, this movie is not perfect. I did have issues with it. Getting into some of those really quick. Oh, Sassy Pants, thanks for the fun. I enjoy your channel and new ideas you are bringing to YouTube. Thank you. First of all, I don't know how original I am. I just try to be me. That's all I can be. If I'm original with certain things, if I stumble upon originality, I stumble upon it. If not, I don't. I've been I was criticized at one point about my I think it was my Halloween ranking and even my Friday the 13th ranking with some of them, that it's just like everybody else's. They put the same ones at the top, and I'm like, well, it is what it is. Number one, that's my opinion. If I like it, I'm gonna put it up there. And two, I can't help it if those movies are good. Like, I'm not going to be different for the sake of just being different if I don't personally feel that way, because the phoniness will come through eventually and people will be able to see right through that. So all I can be is myself. So I'm glad that I'm glad that you stick around and you enjoy my work. Like I said, I just try to do my best. I try to make it as entertaining as I can. Um, I'd like to think I'm an entertaining guy and privately. But I have a really dumb, stupid sense of humor. And I try to put that into my videos. Certain people might get it, certain people don't. And that's fine. I think it's funny. And even if I'm the only one laughing, so be it. But yeah, okay, getting into the cons a little bit here. Like I said, the movie's not perfect. It has issues. The first con that I have here is they kind of set up Lonnie with the flashback stuff as if he's going to have a bigger significant impact on the story than what he ultimately does. That, maybe it's just me, maybe I'm reading that wrong, but that's how I feel. That's how I felt when I first saw the movie. That's how I felt when I watched it a second time. That it seemed like they were going to have him in a little bit bigger presence or reveal something bigger or more impactful in the narrative than what they ultimately did, because of his brief interaction with him when he was a child. So yeah, like I said, maybe I'm reading that the wrong way, but that's just how it feels to me, whether that was the intention or not. That was just my perception of it. Yeah, and I would have liked to have seen him have a bigger impact on the narrative. There could have been something more for him to do other than just drink in a bar, drive around and discover bodies, draw on a map to where he thinks Michael's going, and then get killed at the end. There could have been more for that character to do, in my opinion. I already said before that I think Tommy's speech in the bar is a little too much, especially in the context of the only movie that exists outside of this one that's canon, other than the 2018 one, is the original. If there had been, Halloween 2 canon or Halloween 4, 5, 6 canon, and they ignored H2O and all that other stuff, I could see that working a little bit better. But yeah, I don't know. It's hard for me to explain. probably should have prepped this more or better, but yeah, I just don't like that speech, and I didn't like it the first time, and I don't really like it the second time. I like Tommy a little bit more the second time around. I just don't like that speech. Where are we going here? The original cast, I liked seeing some of them return, although I don't think they did enough with them, and I thought some of them were handled either badly or they served no purpose, or a combination of the two. Uh, I Nurse Chambers was just there. Did she need to be there? It was just body count. She served no real purpose other than it felt like fan service. A lot of this felt like fan service to me, but her inclusion definitely. The one I was excited about the most going into this, and ultimately the most disappointed in, was Lee Brackett. I thought him coming back, that he would have a bigger impact on the story, especially since Annie, his daughter, was killed in the first one, and he was a big important part of that first movie. I mean, he's in it a lot with Loomis, trying to find Michael, and he gets firsthand, uh, uh, firsthand knowledge of Michael from Loomis. So if anybody coming back would have almost as much knowledge of Michael as Laurie and possibly Tommy and Lindsay, and Nurse Chambers, is Lee Brackett. But they just have him like as like a doddering old security guard that nobody is like really taking seriously. And yeah, that character was so disappointing to me in this movie, and it has nothing to do with the actor himself. It was strictly the writing and the role in which they put him in. I expected more. That to me was one of the biggest letdowns in this movie, was Lee Brackett. One of my other disappointments was Laurie. Um, one of the things that I have said before is that I wished that the series would move on from Laurie, and I still feel that way. I still want this series to just move past Laurie Strode. However, if they were going to include her in this movie, I wanted more from her. Now, I get this is the middle part of a trilogy, so we'll probably get more of her in Ends. But it's the same problem as the original Halloween 2. She's sitting in a bed for what, 75% of the movie? So, I thought it was a little disappointing. It allowed the room for other characters, which I appreciate, but I you know, I think there could have been more done with her for sure. But we'll see how Ends turns out. Because if Ends is really good, I think it elevates Kills for a lot of people, even though I still really enjoyed Kills. One of the other big ones that I got sick of in this movie was Evil Dies Tonight. I can't tell you how many times I mean, you hear it so often in that movie that I wanted to uh, Bucky a motherfucker from part 4 into a power generator because of how much they say it in that movie, and it's annoying. It's all over the place, and I get it with a mob mentality. You leech on to catchphrases or words or whatever, and it becomes like the battle cry. But enough was enough. Like, we got it. Yeah, if I hear Evil Dies Tonight one more time, oh, it's just nails on a chalkboard at this point to me. And I thought I was over it until I watched this movie again earlier, and that came up, and I just was like, yeah, it's just too much, too much. Um, one of my other cons is the Big John, Little John stuff. Now, I like the characters. I thought the characters were fun, but where my con comes through with them is towards the end when they're going around the house and you know they keep kind of reporting to each other to make sure the other one's okay. Hey, Big John, you there, Little John? Or yeah, Big John. Uh, it's moments like that, and it's not what is written. I think it's the way David Gordon Green handles it, and I don't know if it's meant to be funny or not. Um, if it is, then he got the reaction he was looking for. David Gordon Green got what he wanted because people were laughing in the theater. If it's not, and it's unintentional, then David Gordon Green has a problem. And if it's unintentional, then he doesn't know how to properly handle humor in those horror tense moments. And more often than not, humor in moments like that undercut the tension that you want an audience to have. The tension, the release of tension should come as the payoff at the end of those scenes. You shouldn't have moments where you're supposed to be ramping up tension constantly undercut by humor. It's a way to deflate anything that you're trying to build. So I think in that moment, either he doesn't know how to handle that scene or he got exactly his desired effect. Um, and I think a lot of that is bore out of the fact that David Gordon Green doesn't come from a horror background. He's not a horror director. Um, not that making horror movies is a ultimately a difficult thing. You just got to kind of know what you're doing. And I don't think he's there yet. I think he improved a little bit off of 2018, but with certain things like this, it just doesn't gel. And like back to the old couple at the beginning, I thought the humor in that one worked well only because it was in that moment it's bore out of the reaction towards Michael, and it's quickly over and done with, and Michael kills, and I thought that scene played out perfectly, even though there are people that have an issue with that. I don't. I think that played out perfectly. This when the tension is still being ratcheted up and you have little humor moments in there, it just, yeah, it to me, it doesn't work. It brings you up and then deflates, brings you up and then deflates when it should be a nice slow progression. Then you get the payoff of Michael and then deflate. That's how, in my opinion, you work the tension in a scene. You basically don't undercut anything. Read a couple comments here really quick. Jamie Lee Curtis said H2 was bad because she was in a hospital the whole movie with a wig. Yeah, I will disagree that Halloween 2 is bad because it's my second favorite in the franchise and still is. But I do agree she does, for being the leading lady in the movie, she doesn't feel like the leading lady because she spends the majority of the time in a hospital bed asleep or comatose. And yeah, that wig, it's pretty bad. When you notice it, you notice it. It's kind of like Connery's hairpiece in the Bond movies. He had his natural hair in the first two, but then after that, you can tell the hair looks a little different. So yeah, that's her wig is now I can't unsee it. When I was younger, I never noticed it. I never thought any different. But when you look at the hair difference between the first one and Halloween 2, yeah, it's like one of those things. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Kicked Flash. I've been hearing that Michael will talk in Halloween Ends. I hope they're smart to not do that. Oh, I agree. If he talks in Halloween Ends, I hope not. And I know they could be alluding to the fact because in 2018, Sartain does mention that Michael can speak. He just chooses not to. Just keep him silent. If he talks, oh, I don't know. Uh, I guess it's all in the way it's handled. I'm not going to sit here and say I will be pissed off if they do go that route. I just hope they don't. If they do it and it works, okay, whatever. But I just hope they don't. I really, really hope they don't. Like I've said before, mask on, mouth shut. Uh, what's worse, freeze or die? In what context? I think that's what Jason said in part 9. I don't know. Okay. I love Halloween 2, but that's kind of hypocritical if she doesn't think this movie also sucks. Yeah. She could also have. I could see that point of view. There's other things in Halloween 2 that probably don't sit right with her. It could be the whole brother sister reveal because that never sat well with John Carpenter for like however long, even still to this day, he regrets it. So yeah, I mean, if it's just from the fact that she sat in a bed with a wig and that's why she hates Halloween too, then yeah, she should hate this one too because she just kind of sat in a bed with a wig. So, but like I said, I think Kills is ultimately building towards something in Ends, or at least it's trying to build towards something. But we'll see how that plays out. Oh, what's worse, when Michael yelled die or Jason talked as a cop? I'll say Jason talked as a cop because it was never set up in that movie prior that Jason could speak. Whenever he would take over the body of somebody, they inherited his muteness. So that was kind of the way, other than the fact that they would just rip people apart, that you could tell Jason was in somebody because of the way they acted and they just didn't speak. He comes in pointing a gun and says freeze and is acting normal, and then the reveal that he is actually Jason. And that's where I think part of Adam Marcus probably wrote himself into a corner with that movie and didn't have a great way out of it. So he was probably just like, you know what, fuck it. It is what it is. Like maybe this guy for a moment has the ability to speak. Who knows? But no, I'll take Michael saying die in Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 uh over over anything in Jason Goes to Hell for that matter. But yeah, that I think that rounds out my lists of cons, specific cons I have with the movie. Like I said, my big issue with the movie from a narrative standpoint is that it doesn't feel like it moves as well as it should. I know I just said Halloween Kills is building towards something in Ends. You can tell that it's building towards something, that it wants to build towards something. And I kind of got that more the second time around watching it. After I had the initial watch and let it sink in and I watch it this time, I do see a little bit of a progression, but it's not much. This does feel like a sort of just like I said in my initial reaction video, Michael just running a train on Haddonfield to get us to Halloween Ends. It just from a narrative standpoint, I don't think moved the needle enough to get us excited. I shouldn't say us, because I'm excited for a Halloween movie no matter what. but it just doesn't move that needle enough to progress the story. I wanted the story to be a little bit more involved in this one. I wanted them to try to maybe flesh certain things out a little bit more, maybe with Michael, maybe with some of the other characters. It just feels like an hour and 40 minutes of Michael slaughtering, which is a con for me. But at the same time, like I said before, when you come into a Halloween movie, especially one called Halloween Kills, it is what it is. That's you got to expect that Michael is just going to go on a slaughter spree. So it's a little bit of a downside. Like I said, it's still not a greatly well written piece of work, but I still enjoy it. There's a lot of movies that I don't think are great films that I still enjoy the hell out of. A lot of them are slasher movies. I mean, if I'm being honest, as an honest film person, slasher movies are not the best made movies. They're just not. I mean, fair, in all things being fair, they are popcorn entertainment. And that's what this movie is to me. It is popcorn entertainment. It's not there. It doesn't need to be Citizen Kane. It doesn't need to be, The Exorcist or anything that's just like you look at the story structure. Like it doesn't need to be on that sort of level. It gives you what you want. It gives the audience what they want going in, which is Michael killing, and that's it. That's worth the price of admission alone, even for me. So, bottom line, I really liked Halloween Kills. I thought that maybe after seeing it, letting it sit, that coming back to it, that my opinion on it would drop a lot more, because that's happened with other movies before where I've been hyped going into it and I come out, I'm like, oh my God, it's the greatest fucking thing ever. And then when I watch it again a second or third time, I'm like, oh, it's okay, or it's bad. Like my opinion will drop. When I watched Halloween Kills this afternoon in preparation for this, I sat back and I felt the same way as I did coming out of the theater. I'm like, I really enjoyed it. I had fun watching it. Is it the greatest movie? No. Is it the greatest movie in its own franchise? Definitely not. Is it fun though? Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I had fun watching it, and I'm looking forward to Halloween Ends. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do in this movie. If they kill Michael off, that was another thing that as psychotic or as crazy as it sounds, when they are beating Michael at the end of this movie, I was kind of rooting for Michael. I kind of wanted him to get back up and annihilate everybody, and he did. And now that I mention it, that's another con I will bring up, is in that moment where I mentioned David Gordon Green and his directing and stuff like that, where I thought he excelled in certain areas, but there's other areas where I thought he fell a little flat. And the one example I will bring up where he fell flat, in my opinion, was that ending where Michael comes back up after being down and annihilates all those people that surrounded him. I watched it again. When I watched it again today, I'm like, yeah, the directing in that is just not that good. It's almost too stylized, if that makes sense. Like, they had this sort of like spotlight and they kind of like highlighted each individual kill Michael went on. It kind of reminded me of, like, is it Batman Begins? There's a scene in there where Batman drops down and is like beating up everybody. And the way it's shot is so close up and weird that you can't really tell what the hell is going on. And I kind of felt that way in this. Like, the shot selection David Gordon Green went for in that moment, it was just hard to, I mean, you understood what was going on, but it was just too close up. Uh, there wasn't a great sense of where people were at, what was going on. Unlike the firefighter kill at the beginning, which I thought was handled really well, this was the opposite. I think his direction in that moment was a little too stylized, a little too sloppy. I would have preferred him to pull back a little bit more so we could see everything. And I would have liked to have seen more instead of like, it reminded me of like a kung fu movie where, people surround the hero and then it's just one person at a time running in to attack him and the hero just wins. That's how he beats everybody. I would have loved to have seen it better where maybe one guy goes in, Michael gets him, but then they just swarm after that, and Michael fends them all off from that point on and just starts picking his way through the crowd instead of just one at a time. It's a little bit sloppy. What's the other word I'm looking for? Not stereotypical, but yeah, I that part I just didn't really care for. And they kill off Lee Brackett. So adios, thanks for coming there. And Tommy. So yeah, it's I thought that moment was a little bit of both. There's parts in that scene that I like, but the way it was handled when Michael fought back and ultimately killed everybody, I thought was just, it leaves a lot to be desired. Read some comments here. Did I read the Jason vs. Leatherface comic? No, I have not. Unfortunately, I haven't gotten into a lot of the comics, the horror comics. I've seen a couple Halloween ones. They look cool. They look well drawn. I believe they turned, was it the script for Jason versus Freddy versus Ash into a comic series? They did something like that, or they took what they were going to do or what they had ideas and kind of just turned it into a comic. I'd be intrigued to read that. Always root for the slasher villain. Yeah, I do. It sounds weird and twisted to say, but I do. Like, there are certain movies where I do want the heroes to win, like, or that where I'm excited to see the heroes win. Like in Friday the 13th part, like 4 and 6. Like, I want to see them overcome Jason, even Tina in part 7. And I like to see some of the characters here overcome Michael, like Allison, and even kind of like Tommy. But I still want, like I said before, a problem I have with H2O is just the definitive end of Michael when they chop off his head. I'm like, I don't know if I like that, because for me personally, as a greedy fan, I always want more. And when it's a definitive end like that, I'm like, in a way, it's like it's signaling that that's it, they're done. And I always like room at the end of things to where, oh, the villain kind of gets away, or in this case, Michael would somehow get away. And I'm glad that they did that in this one. And I like that they did it. I just wish it was directed better. That's all. Jason versus Leatherface fights were really lame, but I like how it explored Jason's character. Okay. Is that the one? Does it kind of delve into, is it Elias Voorhees, Jason's dad? I know there were comics based around that I had seen, and I had seen a lot of people referencing to. But okay, yeah. I remember seeing certain things about it I've never seen. I'll have to check it out. I'm typically not a big versus guy. I thought Freddy versus Jason was good. I thought it was handled well. But I know people always bring up like Michael versus Pinhead, or Michael versus Jason, and I'm kind of like, no, I think that ship has sailed. I would rather instead of more integration between stuff, I kind of like to see these properties just stick to their own sort of thing. Uh, I think they work best on their own. There was another that has father, but wasn't as interesting. Okay, yeah. Like I said, I'll have to check those out when I get time to. I got a whole slew of shit over here I still have to read. Um, but yeah, um, but yeah, I think that's gonna be it for the stream. I rattled on a lot longer than I had originally planned on doing. Um, but if this is something you guys like, I wouldn't mind doing this either like once a month, once every other week, maybe to kind of break up the uh, to kind of help bridge the gap between doing uh, retrogrades, or if I come back and do trailer reactions again, stuff like that, just to kind of, because I like talking with everybody. I like you know the conversation. That's kind of what I started this channel to do. I just didn't want it to be me dictating to a camera for 15, 20 minutes. I like engaging. I like having conversations with people. The thing you hate about Freddy versus Jason is it made Jason scared of water. Yeah, that's complete bullshit. Yeah, Jason being afraid of water is really fucking stupid in Freddy versus Jason. It's just flat out. It's just stupid. There's there's no explanation for it. I get he's caught in a dream with Freddy, who will exploit who will typically exploit a fear of people's to get to them. But when Jason has never been afraid of water previously, suddenly him being afraid of water makes absolutely no sense. Which again leads to the fact of why I don't like Jason and Freddy versus Jason. It's just not Jason to me. It's it's whatever they wanted Jason to be, and they molded it to whatever they took the character and molded him to whatever they wanted him to be, instead of taking what was there and somehow working it, working that into the story. They just took the character and just made him into whatever. Okay, good. I'm glad you guys had fun with this. Like I said, it's my first time kind of engaging in this format. I know I'm not the most well-spoken guy, which is why when people uh, comment about the scripted nature of some of my videos, well, there's a reason for that. It's because sometimes it takes me a minute to process a thought, and I don't want to sit there in a video and just dead silence trying to think of something. So, but yeah, I had a lot of fun doing this, and I would love to do uh, more live streams like this in the future, and specifically either just sitting here and bullshitting, kind of like what we're doing now, since I got Halloween Kills out of the way. We can just sit here and bullshit about just random ass stuff, or we can tackle individual movies. Like it would be fun to kind of do a live stream and just talk about maybe Halloween 1, Halloween 2, or any of the Friday the 13th or any other movie. Like it'd be interesting. And I think that would be a lot of fun to kind of talk about aspects, because I had fun engaging with you guys about the different Friday the 13th shit in this chat. So, but yeah, I think I'm gonna wrap it up here. Um, I hope you guys all had fun here. Um, and if you come to this chat, if you come to this video after this, uh, hope you had fun listening. And yeah, uh, I'm not good at ending shit. I'm really not. I'm sitting here just stammering away. But thank you for everybody that has come to this chat, who has uh, come to hang out and bullshit. We'll do it again soon. I thought about maybe doing one for the new Ghostbusters movie. I'm not sure because it's not horror, and I know this is primarily a horror channel. But I am such a huge fan of Ghostbusters that I would love to kind of do one of these again and kind of just talk through the movie and my thoughts and feelings on it. If that's something you guys would like, please, by all means, drop me a message, uh, and let me know. If not, I may just do a simple reaction, kind of like what I did with the Bond movie, and then just leave it at that. But uh, anyways, hope you guys have a great rest of your night. It was fun talking with you. I have a retrograde coming. I'm working on it right now. I'm working through the typing out of Seed of Chucky, and holy shit, yeah. Uh, the Children of the Corn 5 was shit, and this one is gonna be. Uh, I have a feeling I'm in for another mess too. So, yeah, I'm working my way through that one. That one should hopefully be out at some point within the next 2 weeks. But yeah, anyways, have a good night, everybody, and I will catch you around. Take it easy. Trying to find out how to end this thing. There used to be a thing right up here that said end stream. Where'd it go? Oh, there it is. I'm a fucking idiot. Anyways, good night, everybody. Catch you around. Have fun. See you later.